Hey guys, and welcome back to the Bird's Nest Schoolhouse. My name is Jocelyn, and I am a first-time homeschooling mom to a 4-year-old and freshly 6-year-old kindergartner and first grader. Today is part 3 of our term 2 updates and reviews. This is, did I say term 3? Term 2. Term 2. Our second term. This is the first term where we really were able to settle in and do all of the subjects that I had originally set out to do. So I'm super excited about that we were really just able to settle into our rhythm. In my first 2 videos, I did review how my kindergartner is doing with her individual subjects. And then in my second video, I did my first grader with his individual subjects. So if you haven't seen those, go ahead and check those out. But today is group subjects, and I have to admit they are not. We do not have a good track record here with our group subjects. So I'm going to start with what a subject that we really have enjoyed, and this is something that I wasn't sure we were going to be able to bring back in anytime soon because we were kind of overwhelmed with all of the things that we were trying to fit into our day. But in this term, we really settled in. So towards the end of the term, I did bring it in, and the kids are just really loving it. They ask for more. They're excited to do it. And that is Spanish with Homeschool Languages. The kids, I have to admit that there's not a lot of structure to the lesson. It just kind of gives you information and you do with it what you will. So we've been able to incorporate it a lot into our days, say buenos dias, buenas noches when we go to bed. Just speak random Spanish throughout the day. And the kids seem to really enjoy it. They really love the puppet. We've gotten into the book a little bit. There's a little Spanish book. The kids are just really liking it. They ask, what does this mean in Spanish? What does this mean in Spanish? So that's really cool to see, especially since I didn't know that when we'd be able to bring it in. So the fact that we've been able to bring it in and it's been a hit and it's been successful, I'm very pleased with. So Spanish is a hit. Okay, another success, which is I haven't spoken about this in any previous videos, but this is something that I kind of stumbled upon and thought that it was perfect. It's a very passive subject. It's not something that we do every day. We do it for 5 minutes, like on a Monday morning, and that is the Under the Home art history. And then we also do the Under the Home music. And if you're not familiar with Under the Home, it is a free curriculum. A mother put together all sorts of subjects. They have art history, studio art, music, math, science, a whole number of things from kindergarten. I believe it goes up to 5th grade. And I just went on and I pulled from their art history. They do a 6-week terms as well, which is the same term schedule that we are on. And they do 6 weeks of one artist, and then they change it to another 6 weeks of another artist. So for our second term, it was Raphael. And what I do is I printed out the paintings that they suggest for week 1 through 6, and I put them in this plastic folder. Just slide it in, and I just set it on a little easel that I have, tabletop easel that I have, and it just stays there throughout the week. So on Monday morning when we come in and it's time to switch our painting for the week, we take this down and I pull the lesson plan up online. She has a whole lesson plan per painting. So each lesson plan has a synopsis of the painting. It has artist information. It has a number of activities like act it out or pose like the painting, sorry, the glare. And then she also has an activity, which is the activity that we do, which is to find objects in the painting. So last week we did this one, which is a woman with a unicorn. And my kids really like this one. This was their favorite painting of all the Raphael. And it's about a bride and a unicorn, which symbolizes, I think, like fresh start or rebirth or something. So anyway, so they ask you to find different things in the painting. Like they said, find a pendant, find a pearl, find a unicorn, find the horn, find mountains, find the bride, find the pillars. And while the kids just think they're doing like an activity of finding something within the painting, it's teaching them to pay attention, to look deeper into a piece of art. So some of these they haven't really enjoyed, but again, we just put it up on the easel, and if they look at it throughout the week, great. If they don't, okay, we'll look at it on Monday morning. And yeah, they said they have enjoyed it. Again, it's just finding things in the art, and I don't know if they've retained anything about the artist. We've read a little bit about Raphael every week, but it's just an introduction to art. Next term is Mary Cassatt, so I'm excited about that. It's something completely different than Raphael. So that has also been a success. We are also doing the music portion of Under the Home, and that is she just has a YouTube video with a piece of classical music, and each week I just play the selection when we get up, like when we are setting up our school. Some of them are short, some of them are long. I just let it play. We don't talk about the music. I just let it play just to introduce them to classical music. So again, it's very passive. It's not anything that requires a lot of time. It's just something that we're doing. Okay, so on to, sorry, there's mosquitoes. Sorry. On to some family subjects that have not gone so well. Starting with Build Your Library Around the World Level 0. Now, this is definitely my own expectations of what I wanted from this program. And so I take full responsibility for not going into this with like full understanding of what it is that we were doing. However, it's taught me a lot about how to mold a curriculum to what it is that you're looking for, kind of using it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so if you saw my family subjects when I said that we were doing the Around the World, I was very excited about doing this curriculum because I am a traveler myself. I've traveled around the world. I love the idea of introducing the world to my kids through books. But I don't feel like I've done that very much. So in term 2, we did North America, which was Canada, the United States, Mexico, and Central America. And we got through Canada, and we read, Carson Crosses Canada. And I actually really, really enjoyed this book. It's about a woman who travels through Canada with her dog Carson, and they start on the west coast and they travel all the way through Canada to the east coast. And they go over different areas of Canada and different regions and what you'll find there. And at the end, it shows a map of all the different regions and, the path that they took. And I have to admit that this is probably a good representation of what I thought this curriculum was going to be. Learning about different regions of the world and like going a little bit in depth, but it's definitely a gentle approach to geography, which is great. Like, I know that this curriculum gets a lot of really, really rave reviews. People love it. It really works well for their family, and I love that. That's great for them. But it's just not exactly what I was looking for. So when we got through with Canada, I asked the kids, like, oh, what did you learn about Canada? Oh, we also read The Very Far North, Very, Very Far North, which the kids were a little bit bored with. I enjoyed the book. I thought it was very clever, but the kids were a little bit bored with it. I made them a coloring page. They did puzzles during, while I read. They enjoyed the coloring page that I made. This is the coloring page with all of the characters of the book. But I can't say that they really, well, when I asked the kids at the end of Canada, I said, what did you learn about Canada? They pretty much just said, Niagara Falls. So there's a lot more to Canada than Niagara Falls. And they have the activity books, which I don't have here. And they did an activity on Niagara Falls. And then they have videos that you watch, and the video was on Niagara Falls. So I guess I want a little bit more of a broad spectrum from the curriculum. We got to the United States and we did not, I think, so I found this, there's two different art books. There's the old art book and the new art book for this curriculum. I have both. So I kind of went through and found an art project that I thought the kids would enjoy. I don't remember what it was, the one it was for Canada, but we made totem poles. So I looked up and showed them, what totem poles uh, symbolized, and to tell their own story on their totem pole. We also made the bannock bread, and this is a good example. So we made the bread that they recommend to make for Canada, but there's no background on the bread. So I ended up looking up, the background of the bannock bread, and the fact that the indigenous people and the travelers, the travelers, can't remember, kind of an immersion of the culture. So the kids learned about that, which is totally fine. But I'm realizing that that is what I'm going to have to do with this curriculum moving forward. So they give you the books. So for the United States, we did A Boy Called Slow, but they didn't enjoy this book. They also don't have much background on Native Americans, and it was just too wordy for them, and not, I don't think it was, bright enough pictures. So I guess, unfortunately, we don't have a library here, because she does give you a list of alternative books at the beginning of the curriculum. So that is definitely something that I'm going to take advantage of moving forward. But at the end of the day, like the activity book, they did an activity about Manhattan, but I just don't feel like they learned anything about the United States besides, I know that we live in the United States. We don't live in the continental United States, so they know about Ohio. But I just feel like there could have been, like, I guess, a little more information. And I know that this is young, and I know it's a gentle approach. So this is just me being me. So take this with a grain of salt. This is just my opinion. So also with the curriculum, you do this world full of animal stories, and it's a really beautiful book with really nice illustrations. But again, I don't quite understand how this fits into learning about the different parts of the world. Like the kids, they don't mind the stories. They listen to the stories. They look at the pictures. And it's introducing them to like a little bit of a different, I guess, perspective. But because it's 50 folk tales and legends. But I'm just not quite sure that they quite grasp the lessons, or the myths or the legends, that like they don't put it all together. Another thing that is included is this animal poetry. We did drop this. The kids just were not, they thought that the pictures are beautiful. They like looking at the pictures, but they don't understand, like they just weren't interested in hearing the poems. What, mommy, why are you reading to us about cows? It's okay. I mean, we did drop this. So for the final week, we did 2 days. We learned about, we did Mexico, and we read this Dear Primo, and this is written by a man that grew up in Mexico for, like, I think until he was 10. Then he moved to the United States, and then had family back and forth between Mexico. And it's a good book. However, I feel like in today's time, because I've traveled extensively through Mexico, And there's such amazing and rich culture. And again, this is just one book, and this is a book about two cousins that write back and forth. One lives in Mexico, one lives in New York City, and they write about the difference in their lives. But I feel like it kind of played into stereotypes a little bit, where my son, for example, he looked at this page and he said, "Mommy, do they not have shoes in Mexico?" Because here they're playing basketball in New York and they've got tennis shoes on, and then here they're playing soccer in Mexico and they have sandals on. He said, "Do they not have tennis shoes? They don't wear tennis shoes in Mexico?" And then another one, we got to this, and it says, they've got the markets, the open air markets, which they're open air markets, and then they have the grocery stores in New York. And he said, "Do they not have grocery stores in Mexico?" And again, there are markets in Mexico, open air markets, really great markets. But what he took away from this book is that they don't wear shoes, they don't wear tennis shoes in Mexico. So, but this is the only thing that we talked about with Mexico. And I feel like there's so much potential. I mean, Mexico's got such an amazing culture, and there's so many amazing places in Mexico. We only spent 2 days on it. So, again, this is just me being me, that I need to do better about kind of looking into, the countries and I need to do better looking into like what we have coming up and kind of expand um, where I want them to have a better understanding of. And if that takes us longer than the curriculum calls for, then it takes us longer than the curriculum calls for. So we did, after Mexico, we did Central America, and we did Central America. And again, that was only 2 or 3 days. No, 2 days, and then it was the Caribbean. And I just, like, 5 days is not enough for me. And I did, when I started looking for this curriculum, I did look at the Torchlight curriculum, and it seems they also do more of a bit of a deep dive, like looking at the culture and the food and the art and things like that. So I might look at that again and just kind of see what kind of books they have for different parts. But moving forward, I definitely need to pull more, take away what's not really fitting with us. So like the poetry, the animal stories, myths and legends, I'll have to pre-read that and look, and see if it like does fit with what we're trying to do. But I think we're going to have to pull in more books and movies. And we did watch Coco from Mexico because my son had a lot of questions about Day of the Dead. So just really following those, questions and curiosities that they may have, and just, follow those paths. So stay tuned for what we do for other countries, because I will definitely be editing. We're going to keep Build Your Library, use it kind of as a rough outline ish, and then just go from there. So because we're on our break right now from term 2, when we go into term 3, we are going to be starting South America. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so Blossom and Root, space. Unfortunately, this curriculum is not working for us. The kids, I asked them when we got to the end of the term, I went through all the subjects. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What do you like about it? What do you don't like about it? And my son said, "I don't like it. I just don't like it." I think we got in about 6 weeks worth. And it gives you, different spines. You look at different pages of different spines. It gives you suggested videos. You read your letter from mission control, and then you do your activity in the workbook. And it really wasn't pulling the kids in. They were not getting engaged. They did the workbook, but I think their favorite part of the workbook was filling out the day, the month, and the date. Like that was like their favorite part. And we have calendars for that. So my son said, "I don't like space." My daughter said, "I like it, but I don't want to do the workbook anymore, which, you know, if you don't want to do the workbook. So we made a deal that, because they do want to do space, they just don't want to do that space. They just weren't having fun with it. So I made them a deal that I would look for another space program and we would do something else for space in the future. So that is my mission right now, is finding another space program. Yeah, so our goals moving forward, I have realized, you know, really settling into our rhythm and routine for term 2, seeing what curriculums are really thriving for us and which ones are kind of floundering, why they're thriving, why they're floundering, has given me some perspective on what I want and what I want to bring into our homeschool, what I want our homeschool to look like. This is all learning. This is a learning curve for all of us, for them, and for me. So I have learned a lot in term 2. I'm excited about term 3 because, like, after sitting down and really talking with them about what they like and what they don't like, what I want to bring in, what I want to teach them, like, I'm excited to have a direction and, like, to change things up a little bit. So I'm really excited to sit down and do that, you know, during our break, to kind of spice things up for term 3. So on that note, please stay tuned. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about the changes that we have for term 3, what we're going to be introducing, our goals moving forward, and not just for the rest of this year, but just like our homeschool in general, what's important to us, and what our priorities are. So on that note, thank you for watching. Please let me know how your terms are going, how your homeschool is going. Do you find the same issues in any of the subjects that I talked about? What are your favorite subjects? Yeah, I like talking to you guys. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.